Money, 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 money.
Money!
Tonight we're talking finances. Are yours in good shape? Let's do it. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Not Safe for Sunday podcast, your mom's favorite non-denominational podcast.
It is my mom's favorite non-denominational podcast.
That's true, right?
You're right.
My mom's too.
My mom's too. I told you it's your
Gail,
mom's favorite.
dude. Hashtag Gail.
It's her first clip
Friend
on
of the pod.
Instagram from the podcast.
Was the first one?
She liked her first post. I was surprised. I saw her face rolling on the Instagram stream. So
My mom?
Ooh.
my mom.
No.
My mom from Missouri.
Oh, your mom did?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the moms love the podcast.
Mom's love NSFS.
We got to get Gail on here. We got to do a mom's episode, dude. Grace, Deb, Gail.
Can't get them all.
Double Deb. We'll have two Debs.
Oh,
dude.
two Debs. Did your mom's Deb too?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Look at that.
We'll have a double Deb outing.
Double Deb. A double Debber.
I was being serious when I said that. It's everybody's mom's favorite podcast.
True.
Yes, it is.
Favorite non-denominational podcast.
It's true. It wasn't lying.
Oh my goodness. Hey, I got a couple Livestrong beds.
Nice.
I don't know where they came
They
from.
were anonymously dropped on your station
Anonymous
today.
donor.
Yeah. I don't know who that donor was. It was sneaking suspicion that it was Jake, but he's not he's not copping up to it.
Plausible deniability.
He's denying it all the way.
I know, seriously.
Wasn't me.
Seriously.
Love the poker
We'll
face.
see if they work. You know, if you're doping and winning bike races by next week.
Dude, if I win any bike race by next week, you know it's the bands.
Or the dope.
It would have to be one of the two. I don't think I've ridden a bike in about 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Oh, yeah.
Very
At least a year and a half, dude.
good
At
for you.
least. But we got our boy, Captain Digital,
Captain Digital is
back
back.
in the building.
That's it.
What's up, Captain?
Nothing much. Just enjoying life as a boat owner now.
How's it feel?
It was amazing. Haven't taken it out yet, but it feels good.
He just sits in it in the driveway.
Do you get the little hat?
Oh, I got to buy one.
You got,
Yeah, you gotta buy a skipper
dude,
hat.
if you pull up with the captain's hat on, I'll lose it, dude. I will absolutely lose it. I'll respect you so much too.
I'm not ashamed to wear it. I would wear it.
Did you name the boat?
Not yet, but there's some names in the works.
Let's hear him. Let's hear him. Let's roll call this right now.
The motor boater.
Okay.
That's about the only one I'm
Number one with a bullet, then. Number one with a bullet, Johnny. I like that. Hey, if we can, we're gonna shout it out to the people. We're gonna put it up to the people. If you got a good name for Johnny's boat,
Drop it.
yeah, drop it in the
like it.
comments. You can find us at NSFS Podcast.
That's one. I'll put like those letters you can stick on the side of the boat. I'll name it and everything.
Oh,
okay.
The top-hearted comment gets the boat name.
No
That's
doubt.
it.
Yeah, if you have the best boat name, Johnny has made it official. He will put that name on that boat.
Oh man, I'm gonna have fun with this.
So
I'm gonna make 20 fake accounts just to heart my comment.
Speaking of comments and subscribing, like and subscribe to the podcast. Oh, trying to set you up there.
He put it on. He
I
put
thought
it
you
on.
It's like I put a piece of pound cake on a
on a paper.
He served it to you on a paper.
It's like
paper napkin,
on a
dude.
paper napkin.
It's like you went into Daniel's parents' house and brought back
Marble pound cake.
Exactly.
marble pound cake and put me to snack on, but I just wasn't hungry yet. That's the issue.
I guess not.
That's the issue.
I guess not.
But yes, you can find us anywhere on social media as NSFS Podcast. And yeah, like, review, subscribe, share us with a friend. Get us out there and name Johnny's boat, because I really am looking forward to this.
That'll be good.
I'm really looking forward to it. And he'll come in the next episode with the maybe with the captain's hat on.
No doubt.
Captain Digital it is. Jacob's back. What's up, Jake?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you for coming.
Hey,
you
dude.
just had a baby 3
I was
days
gonna say, anything happened like 2 days ago?
Had a baby, Delilah Grace McCall.
Oh,
Nice.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Dad of 3 now.
yeah.
Dad of
Clap
three.
track.
Scary.
Clap track.
That's scary. That's like haunted house track. Ooh, spooky.
I also learned a lot about Jake today, walking up the stairs into the loft, that he also has 6 cats.
That's
So they're a family of 11.
Wait, what?
6 cats.
And a dog.
Took one to get spayed and neutered today. Have to
You
take
have-
one tomorrow morning to get spayed and neutered.
You legit have 6 cats?
6 cats.
Oh, walk out, dude. Walk out. Get out of here.
One of
See you
our,
later.
one of our,
I don't trust cat people.
Cats that came into the home, left and got out, escaped, and then came back pregnant. And then she had 4 kittens.
You got a cat running around the town, dude? You got one of them running around the town?
Who
cat?
is
I took a ride on the motorboat.
Who is the cat?
Motorboater.
Who's the cat rescuer out of your household? Like who has to have these cats? Who can outlet these cats go?
It's a mix.
Okay.
Bravo, top of the helm.
Okay.
Connie's right up there too.
All
Lots
right.
of people reached out that they were interested, and the way they grew up, they weren't as interested.
So now they're yours for
Nah,
life.
nobody wants trash cats, dude. Can I just say, like,
Cats.
cats are the worst.
Absolutely.
Like, the worst. Are you with me?
I could not agree
All right.
more.
What do you-
I am like that now, but I did have a very close cat companion growing up, you know. I'm like a little bit split, but now I would not want a cat. Definitely not.
what was this cat companion's name?
Kitten Mittenhead. I didn't name
Kitten
her.
Mittenhead.
I did not name her. This cat
couldn't get any longer.
This cat went from a homeless lady on the streets of New York City to a family friend to me. And I don't know who named her. I don't know if it was the homeless lady or my friend.
Dude,
but
my hometown in New York?
yeah.
Wow, dude.
I saw you there.
Yeah, dude.
He's picking up a bagel.
That's my mom that gave you the cat.
Was it?
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah. So, that was my buddy growing up.
Mr. or Mrs.
Mrs. Kitten Mittenhead. And, but now I would not want cats. And plus, Johnny, Captain Digital is deathly allergic.
Yeah.
So
Me too, Johnny.
we
I feel you.
can't do it.
That makes it even worse. That's why I can't.
I have no
stand
allergies.
cats.
I just think they're evil. I think they're scheming to take over the world.
Where do you stand on dogs?
What was that?
Where do you stand on
Oh,
dogs?
dude, I love dogs.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I got a dog at home.
Do you?
I do.
No way.
Yeah, a
I
little
didn't know
mutt.
that.
I got a little mutt, a little 30-pound mutt.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw your dog.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now we have another dog with my resident my resident
Halfway
house
dog.
my halfway house dog, dude.
Shout out to the halfway house.
Yeah, that's
It's a
it.
community dog.
We got Boaz and Oakley.
Bo
Nice.
has the communal dog.
The communal dog, dude.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I grew up with dogs and cats actually, but now I can't even imagine having a pet in my house, dude. I'm like,
You don't
all set.
even want a dog?
Nope.
Come
I'm all set,
on,
dude.
Josh.
I am
Fish.
all set. Yeah. What's the point?
You telling me if little Jeremiah said, Dad,
Yes.
Dad, can I have a puppy?
100%. I'd say no.
They're more fruit and vegetable people.
We're potato.
You put a potato. Here, son, have this potato.
We're a staunch potato family. Oh man,
Yeah.
we were having a good conversation about stores that closed, and like, I just want to ask if anybody else remembers, because it might just be a me thing, but I could have sworn the guys that owned Big Value Outlet, it was like a set of twins. I could have sworn it was, dude. I don't know if it was. Ken says it was commercial magic, but I don't think so.
Big
dude.
Value Outlet, Dartmouth Street in South Dartmouth, closed a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I know who the owner was.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, that was just the magic of TV to mirror the two in a commercial. And young Josh thought they were.
Wow.
Young Josh thought it was two twin brothers, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Mom, did you catch that? Holy crap.
Those prices are so low, and those guys look exactly the same.
But maybe you're right. So drop a comment, our old school Dartmouth heads,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Big Value Outlet.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
If anybody actually knows the owner, like, maybe the owner could comment and say whether or not he's a twin. I could have sworn he was.
Maybe he is. Maybe
I
I
could
could be wrong, but.
I could have sworn. That's funny, dude. That's so funny.
Favorite old school store? Go. Because we're all from different generations, so.
Benny's, I feel like, is classic.
Dude, I love
Benny's.
Benny's.
Benny's was a classic.
I
I had
love
one down the
Benny's.
road, like right from where I lived in Fall River, and
There was a Benny's like 2 blocks from Big Value Outlet. So that was like
Oh, yeah.
Saturday.
Mm.
That would be like those would be the stores to go to on a
Yeah,
Saturday.
That would be.
And
the
Benny's
stores.
was a big loss. You
that
know,
was
You could get auto parts. You could get
it's a whole hodgepodge.
sporting
dude.
goods.
Outdoor stuff, like, yeah.
You get a
It's
little
literally
little hi-fi. You
Literally
know?
anything.
So, how about you, Josh?
Bikes.
I'll say not a specific store. I miss when Walmart had a McDonald's in it, and like the little arcade area.
Okay.
Because my mom would just drop me there and just go do all her shopping, dude. And I'd just be there for like an hour and a half with no quarters, just sitting there pretending.
No
to play,
quarters. No quarters.
no quarters.
Torture.
Just sitting there pretending to play video games, dude.
Oh, man.
I miss those days.
How
This
about
kid's
the
here again. He's doing it again.
Do you need help, little boy? Nah, I'm good.
How about in the booth? What do you got?
Mine's Highlander. Grew up in Illinois, and mother used to take me by Highlander, and I'll never forget it. She had one of the bakers used to give me a free donut every time I went, and that was one of the main highlights.
Illinois is trash. No, I'm just
Taking
kidding.
a page out of my book.
I mean, Chicago is. I'm not gonna lie, but we don't have to go too far on that one.
New York.
First 10 years of my life, so I was an hour outside of Chicago in Rockford. So.
Okay. Nice, Johnny.
I'm a Walmart guy. I like Walmart. It's got everything I need there.
Yeah.
Sure.
They have video games, the fishing section, and then like the actual fish section where you can buy.
Those ain't a
fish, but
thing.
They don't have those.
R.I.P.
that's not a
Yeah.
thing anymore.
R.I.P.
Not
Not
I
not
feel
any
like I
that
was
I've
in a-
seen.
in a Walmart recently that had it.
Had
the fish?
like live fish you
Maybe,
could buy.
Is it Wareham? Maybe Wareham does.
I don't
know.
think so, dude.
I don't know.
I spent a lot of time in the.
I'll have to let you know.
Walmart.
I'll have to let you know the next time I'm in there.
What was yours?
I'm gonna have to go BVO. You know,
Oh, yeah.
BVO is just such a great store.
It was so good.
But you know, I go old school. There's Bradley's, Ames. They're all basically the same store, different names.
I love Danes.
And then Ann and Hope. Ann and Hope is probably
Love
top
Dan-
tier.
Yeah, I love Dan and Hope too. All those places, they were all like Kmart, and then all of them just didn't make it.
Yeah.
Walmart just defeated all of them. Walmart
Yeah.
and Amazon basically is
Tag
where all the
teams.
shopping happens.
Rules the world.
Oh man, but we are here tonight to discuss a topic that I think is very prevalent in basically where we're at as a society right now, especially with how the economy is looking, the different things that are happening, and this is actually one of our most requested episodes from the listeners. So for you guys, thank you guys that have requested us to discuss this. But tonight we want to talk about some finance talk. And obviously we're in a time right now where that dollar doesn't stretch as far as it used to, for sure. Ken, you're from a different time than we are. That dollar stretched a little more.
Well, I grew up before there was paper money, Josh. So
Just all coins.
Just walking around with shekels in his
well,
pocket.
we used wampum.
Just the barter
It was a
system.
Native American currency.
We use the barter system.
Yeah.
Wow.
Went to the trading post every Saturday.
Oh my goodness. But were you alive when like minimum wage was a thing? Like, did that become a thing in your?
Yeah, it was like $5 when I was like
Oh, okay.
in high school. I think it was like five, maybe went up to like $5.50. It was really
It's still
excited.
$5 in Illinois.
Easy, easy. That's Jake's hometown.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I don't know historically when minimum wage became a thing, but I remember it was a thing when I was getting my first job and stuff like that. And I think if you're making $5.50, you were doing pretty good.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're kind of in a time where like that dollar's tough. That dollar's tough, and I read a stat that 64% of Americans admit that at some point in a year they're living paycheck to paycheck. Not necessarily throughout the entire year, but the percentage of Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck is something around 43%. And that right now, that's staggering. That's a staggering amount. I can't imagine what it would be like. I mean, there's times like, yeah, we can feel like things are tight. And I grew up when I grew up, my parents were kind of paycheck to paycheck for a while. But right now, it's like, yeah, it's becoming a bigger and bigger number of people that are living that way. And so kind of tonight, I think we're going to kind of give maybe some advice, maybe we'll get into the word a little bit and say see what the word has to say about managing finances and things like that. But Ken, I'll start with you. So let's start with from a biblical perspective.
Okay.
What to manage your finances well? What does the Bible say?
Well, I mean, the Bible really boils down finances and managing finances as what we'd call stewardship. And if anybody doesn't know what that means, stewardship is basically how you manage something, how you stored something. So it's really more like the care given to what it is that you have, more than the notion that, oh, this is all mine, I can do with it what I want. Stewardship is more the acknowledgement that you're taking care of something, for the time, for a season, whatever season that is, So if we think about that over the scope of our lives, here we are, we live for so many years. You didn't come in with anything, and you're not leaving with anything. And so that's where that whole principle of stewardship is. And so you're to manage what you've been given or what you have for so well, and the Bible talks about storing it well, managing it well. And so this is such an expansive topic that we could probably dissect it a million different ways, but at the very least, biblically, I think stewardship is really the key term that we could use, because it can definitely be managed well, and it could definitely be managed poorly, and there are ramifications to both. Stored it well, you're able to be more generous and give to those who are in need, but you're also able to build wealth, which is not a bad thing, although, some might think like, oh, what does the Bible teach about that? Well, it's the idea of finances in the Bible is not that, oh, we should all be wealthy, but certainly when finances are stored well, you can build wealth, and when you build wealth, then you have more freedom to be able to give, invest, build things that can be passed on to, your descendants and those coming after you. If it's stored poorly, obviously poverty is a real thing, and it can really also have the opposite effect, for those that are coming after you. So it's a pretty big deal. And the Bible tells us, not to love money or be enslaved by it, but definitely not to be afraid of it either, and to store it well. The problem is that I don't think that we marry the spiritual and the practical very well, because we have instruction in the Bible, but practically there's such little instruction out there, and there's a lot of people guilty for that, and why that's not taught, and why good money principles aren't taught. So there has to be kind of a marrying of that, where biblical principle meets real practical application to be successful when it comes to money. And I don't mean success by how much you have, but just being able to store it well, manage it well.
Can we get one thing out of the way first? One of the most misquoted Bible verses ever.
Yes.
The
love of money.
Yes.
Yes.
This just happened on our church page the other day.
It surely did.
Yeah.
It surely
right
did.
after Ken preached about this.
It surely
the whole sermon was about this verse.
Yeah, and to be honest, probably most money misconception when it comes to the Bible is by taking things out of context or misquoting them. So, case in point was I quoted 1 Timothy 6, I believe, which is, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." And then our social media director put a question like a yes no. What remind me how it went, how it was phrased.
Yeah, it was like what is the
is the verse correctly basically quoted? Money is the root of all evil, and 75% of the people put yes, but it's not that money is the root of all evil; it's the love of money. And this is echoed by Jesus when he didn't quote that, but quoted saying that the love of money is enslavement. So it's not money itself. Money is a thing; it's an object like anything else. It can be used for good, used for bad, managed well, managed poorly. So
yeah, I wanted to get that out of the way off the top.
Yes, and it's not money that's the root of all evil; it's the love of money.
And that is a big distinction. Is where what there's another Bible verse, where your heart is
your treasure.
Where
Matthew 6.
Yeah. I'm so bad at memorization.
But it's where your treasure is. Your heart is.
Yeah, where your treasure is where your heart is, and it's a bad cycle if that's where your heart is the love of money. You look like you had something to say.
No. Just when we prioritize money over people, it's just like we've talked about this so many times. When we put things above people or money above people included, we have it upside down, and that's what we tend to do. Is we'll throw the person away for the dollar, for the quick dollar. And so many. I mean, geez, you can think of so many circumstances that the list never ends.
Yeah. Do people actually come to you guys like looking for financial advice, or do they like? Because if this was this was a highly requested topic, I would imagine that people are openly talking to you guys. Is this really something that's happening?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that anybody's ever come to me and saying like, Ken, can I sit down with you and you teach me
how to handle
money? But they will ask for like resource. And Dave Ramsey, not a friend of the pod, although I wish he was, is a Christian financial guru. And he's got podcasts, he's got shows, he's got books, he's got classes, he's got trainings. And he really comes solely from a biblical perspective about money. And so many people in church know his name. And so often I'll get asked like, hey, do you guys run a Dave Ramsey course? Which we have run, a handful of times over the years, usually like a 6 to 8 or 10 week thing where we'll follow his course or his financial principles for basically becoming financially free. Because for so many, money is enslavement. And not necessarily because they loved it, to quote Jesus, just more because they don't know what to do with it. And money is one of those things where if you don't store it well, it can control you.
Oh yeah.
And then we're talking about like debt and things like that, because you quoted 60-something% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Another great statistic is like the average amount of credit card debt in the U.S., which I think last I had read is like over $10,000 per household or per person.
Wow.
Like average.
Wow.
So that's huge, because when you're in debt and companies are charging you 20-something% interest, whether it be credit card or however else that you've borrowed that money, it becomes so much harder to come out of, because you're not just paying off principal now, you're paying off principal and sometimes like close to 30%
And the interest is outgrowing you essentially.
Yeah, and make minimum payments, and there's like calculators where it's going to take me 27 years, 27 years to pay off this furniture that I wanted so bad and I needed so bad, but that I financed and allowed the interest to overtake me.
So for the people that because we're in a time, right? We're in a time right now where, and I don't know how long it's been like this, but in my 35 years of living almost, culturally, it's basically consume as much as you can, make as much money as you can, as fast as you can. You want to get the newest, the best, you want to keep up with the Joneses, and the only way to do that is by making as much money as fast as you can so that you can continue to consume. And then this product that you're consuming is going to make your life better. How do we break that cycle?
You want to go or you want me to go?
Take it away.
Well, this is, this can get kind of deep biblically, because when it comes to the kingdom of God, the other kingdom in biblically is really like Babylonian kingdom. And that was a real place, during a real time in the Bible in ancient times. But what originated there was a system of commercialism and false religion. And that spiritually still continues to be the other kingdom besides the kingdom of God. And so you see how commercialism and materialism is so tempestuous, and it can really overtake you and overcome you when it comes to how you live your life. And so if I am so consumed, with, like you just said, the latest, the greatest, the best, having this, keeping up with the Joneses, always needing the newest car and the newest thing, it becomes, let's go back to our idol episode, right? It can so easily become a worship. It's like the gold that was given to the Israelites when they left Egypt. It was just gold until they fashioned an idol out of it. And we do the same thing.
I'll take you a step further.
Go for it.
Take it to the anxiety episode. We talked about that machine, right?
Yeah.
The machine that keeps you wanting, because what if I don't have that, my life is going to stink. Like I'm not going to have all this stuff. My kids are going to get bullied in school or whatever it is if I don't have all these things.
Yeah, I mean, me being the oldest here and not trying to be like the old man, and I don't know when it was.
I mean, you are the old
I
man.
am the old man, but I don't know when it was, but like when I was a kid, like it wasn't like it became, I don't know, let's say late 80s, early 90s, something like that,
Yeah.
where, and maybe it was like the phenomenon of marketing and where commercialism really like stepped up its game. And like Jordan, I think the Jordan sneakers
Dude,
are.
that's exactly where my head went.
I think that was like a turning point where like you had this thing that everybody needed. And when I was a kid, it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, I'm sure there was branding and marketing and style and fashion, but it was like when people started getting beat up or killed for sneakers,
Crazy.
and when you could start justifying paying like $150, which I know is nothing right now, but back then it was a big deal.
No doubt.
Yeah,
It was a huge deal how much Jordans cost. It was like otherworldly.
No doubt.
So there was definitely this turning point that happened. I don't know exactly when, where we started lusting after these things in unhealthy ways where we never had before. Maybe it's again just because of media-driven society and TV just like really being a dominant influential force in our time, and then these superstars and these again idols, that we worship, and Jordan and LeBron, all the, and so definitely as I've grown up and grown older, I've seen it go from like not that important, not that big of a deal to like dominating.
I think you've also brought up, and I don't remember when it was one Sunday, I think, about the access, the ease of access, where if we take Amazon into account, right? You can literally make a purchase before you even think about it.
Yeah.
Like
They've made it so quick.
you hit that buy now button, they already have all your credit card information, your shipping information, you're already a Prime member. Bang, you hit that button, that's 30 seconds, you spend hundreds of dollars. How mindless is that? And then you don't see that. It's not like you're sitting with your bank account right next to you as you're doing it. So it's just click, 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 click. And before that even package shows up at your house, well, the next day you're doing the same thing. And then you got 50, 60, 70 Amazon packages sitting on your front porch. And it was no pain, pain for it to happen.
There used to be a time where like if a package came, you knew exactly what it was because you were waiting so long for it. Now you got a family of 4 like in our house, and all 4 are old enough to like order stuff, and it's like you have a pile of whose is this? Whose
It's like
is
Christmas
that?
morning every day.
It really is. It's unbelievable.
Unboxing videos.
It's great. It's a great business for me
Oh, I'm sure.
to deliver
yeah.
all these packages, but it really is become this almost second nature or unconscious thing. It's like breathing. It just happens. It's just happening every day in every household across the entire country, where people are just consuming more than they can afford and consuming more than we need. There's just this idea that you have to have all these things, and then we talk about the waste that happens, the debt that happens, all these things, because once again, we're going back to a root cause. You're not stewarding the things that God has given you well.
Yeah.
And you're making bad choices based off of emotion, based off of fear at times, based off of desire or gluttony, whatever it may be. And it's causing, I think, a lot of turmoil in a lot of households.
I'll pass to Daniel in a second, because Daniel really is, in all honesty, really great financially, very, very disciplined, and does monthly budget meetings with his wife. But I will start off with this, and I'll pass it to you, is that I would say most of the problem stems from living beyond your means. I mean, I don't. Obviously, there are circumstances that happen to people that maybe set them back financially and maybe bring them into a place of poverty. But I would say those instances are fewer and far between, and most financial ruin comes from living beyond your means and buying more and accumulating more than what you take in for income. And a scripture that comes to mind is, and this is all Bible, the borrower is slave to the lender. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back a couple of different I didn't chime
Sorry,
in.
Daniel.
No, I didn't
Sorry.
chime in, but you guys were going, so I was like, keep going. So yeah, I definitely have had a lot of conversations with people about finances, and I think it's something I'm very, 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 very passionate about. And so when I'm talking to people, a lot of times I'll bring it up, and I'll literally offer to help in any way. And finance is one of those taboo things. Like, you don't invite anybody just into your finances. It's very intimate. It's like it's private. It's like what you make, what you spend, what you're buying, how much, what you have in your bank account. That's very private stuff.
It goes back to the culture thing. You don't. How many jobs have you ever worked where they had tell you, "Hey, don't discuss salary with anybody"?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
taboo. We don't do that here.
Definitely.
You don't want to. It's because they don't want you to know how much the guy next
For
to you is
sure.
making.
For
But
sure.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, but so I've had a lot of conversations about finances with people, and it's something I'm very passionate about. I think now more than ever we live in this connected society, which is clearly obvious. But you used to be able to just go to bed and you wouldn't get marketed to. Now you have an Amazon screen right there as your alarm clock, just running advertisements all day, all night. You have your phone. You can lay in bed and you're just scrolling. You're making purchases. So with the phone, it's like if you were away from the TV or not near a store, you weren't buying anything. But now you can buy anything all the time, anywhere. You can be on a plane. You can buy stuff. You could be like,
Hey Alexa.
Yeah, you don't.
Seriously, hey Alexa, buy this, and it will be purchased.
Absolutely. And so you have all these different avenues where it makes it so easy to spend. You can't even keep up.
Not only that, but the marketing that's happening. Back to kind of what Ken was saying before, the marketing that's happening. Sometimes I don't know how it happens, but I'll talk about something, and I'm damn sure my phone is picking it up and knows exactly.
Guaranteed.
I just was talking about whatever Livestrong bracelets or whatever it is. Now those are the ads that are going to show up when I'm on Facebook scrolling wherever. I noticed the other day my Facebook's like 90% ads.
Yeah, it's getting
like,
bad. It's so
I
bad.
barely see anybody's feed, like any of my friends or anything that they have to say. It's like I'm being marketed to consistently,
like every other post.
And God forbid you look at it for too long, dude. Because
you're just gonna do, dude. For example, I want Shen Yun's freaking marketing budget. You know Shen Yun?
Shen Yun, the little play,
that little Chinese Asian play thing.
Yeah,
dude. I get Shen Yun advertisements. This is a tangent now. I get Shen Yun advertisements. I think on every other device. I've gotten mailers in the mail.
I'm checking right now.
Dude, I get Shen Yun. It's like if I had their marketing budget, dude, I'd be good to go. I wouldn't need to work the rest of my life. But that's my Shen Yun little.
What'd you do? Did you watch the video?
I don't watch him, dude. As soon as I see him, I'm scrolling as fast as I can because I get so aggravated. I'm like, it's actually making me hate Shen Yun.
Hashtag Shen Yun.
Hashtag
Shen Yun.
Yeah, no,
Daniel hates you.
Double down on
we're done with Shen Yun.
That's
dude.
your hate of the week.
Yeah, that's right. I do need a hate of the week.
I will tell you though, Shen Yun's marketing is insane because everywhere that I've ever worked, some little Asian ladies come in and like handed out posters.
Dang, like they got banners. They got I don't even know. Nonetheless, either way. So
future friend of the pod.
We can be friends.
I grew up in, growing up, I had no idea or concept of money or our financial situation. My parents, my dad's a first-generation immigrant. My mom is a first-generation born here. Her parents were immigrants. And, these Portuguese people coming to America, working hard, making money, making a lot more than what they were making in the old country, not really knowing what to do with it. But, they would save because they know they came from absolutely, like, nothing really, and they came from very little, and so what they made, they were very I don't want to say frugal, but they were savvy with their money. They did not overspend. They didn't buy unnecessary things. They saved for their house. They saved for these future expenses. But the kids who grew up here, they grew up in an environment where now there was just money. You grow up and you get to work and there's money, and they're living. My parents lived in a very culturally kind of conservative environment, in the sense of like Portuguese people were very conservative with the way that they spent their money, the way that their children were able to have freedom. Kids now that they walk out the front door and go wherever and do whatever. But then it was like, no, if you're under my house, you're in my house, you live under my rules. And so even as 20-year-olds, it's like you're back here at 7 p.m. So my parents grew up very conservative. When they finally got married at the age of 19 and 17, they built their own house, got married, moved out, and now, I mean, up until the day they got married, my dad was handing his whole paycheck over to my grandparents.
Wow.
Yeah, same with my wife.
Wow.
Everything he earned, he would give to his parents. He would get maybe $10 to be able to take my mom to like McDonald's on a date.
Wow.
That's all he would get. Enough for maybe some gas in the car, and enough for a McDonald's date. But his whole paycheck was going to my grandparents. And so when he started working and living on his own, now he gets his full paycheck. My mom gets her full paycheck. They're like through the roof. They're spending. They're buying all sorts of stuff because now they can. Yeah, I mean they're out from under the thumb, and so now they have all this money and they're buying, they're spending. Enter kids. Now there's all sorts of kids expenses and stuff. Growing up, I didn't know that we were living paycheck to paycheck or that my parents had accrued credit card debt and all that stuff. But later on, I mean, I guess it got pretty bad living paycheck to paycheck, but enter in Dave Ramsey. I know you mentioned him before. My parents heard of this Dave Ramsey course that was going on from some people that we knew in local churches. And so they took this course, and it completely changed. It's Financial Peace from Dave Ramsey. It completely changed the course and the trajectory. They went hard. I mean, they cut up the credit cards. They stopped overspending. They paid off all their credit cards. They paid off any loans. They stopped buying new cars they couldn't afford. They ran their cars to the ground like beater. They started really stewarding their money well. And so I kind of got to grow up not necessarily having an understanding of our financial situation, how bad it was, because, I mean, I had everything I could want and everything I needed and above and beyond in excess. So to me, I thought we were doing pretty great, but on the back end, I didn't know where we were living. And then enter Dave Ramsey. They get a hold of their finances. Now I'm more aware because I'm a little bit older, and I'm seeing them be like very intentional with their finances. And then I see my brother. He's 5 years older than me, so he's now starting to work, and he's kind of my parents are teaching him how to manage his money and how to budget and how to allot money for certain things. And so I got to grow up kind of benefiting from that change and that change in understanding, that outlook on money. And then it got me very passionate about stewarding your money well. And so pretty much have always lived on a budget. That doesn't mean I'm miserable because I budget. I mean, my wife and I go on vacations and we're able to do stuff. We have budgets for all this stuff. So people hear the word budget and they think, oh my God, like miserable. I can't never spend money again. But that's not the case. I mean, my wife and I, we sit down every month. We go through the budget. Make sure that we tracked all our expenses, make sure we tracked all our incomes, we do our transfers to our savings and our retirements and all that stuff, and we set it up, and it's not the funnest night in the world. I will let you know.
You can make it fun.
For the first 6 months of marriage, Bree cried every budget meeting for the first 6 months.
You ever do it in your underwear?
You give that a go?
We warm up. We lay money out down.
That's how baby Brio.
During a budget meeting, dude.
Heated budget meeting.
Wow, things got really intense.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Sorry, dude.
You're good. So I mean, we try to make the budget meetings. Like sometimes we'll go on a date. We'll go to a restaurant. We'll go for coffee, or we'll go for a drive, and we'll park and watch the sunset and do a budget meeting. Like, just try to make it fun, because I'll be honest with you, it's not fun. But, we live with such peace because we don't live above our means. We have our emergency funds. We have savings. We're investing already for Brielle's college fund. Like, we have money to be able to do what we want and above what we want. Right. But also, we don't spend foolishly. Like, we set a restaurant budget. We don't overspend that restaurant budget. No matter how much I want that Five Guys milkshake, like, that's wait until next month. Whatever it is, like, there are certain things where it's like you need to control your spending. If you're overspending, if you're spending more than what you make, you're done.
That even though it's not the most fun night of the month or whatever it is, it's maybe a little bit more of a frustrating period.
Absolutely.
But what you're doing is you are taking the finances that God has given you to steward, and that is saving you from the nights staying up, waking up in the middle of the night and be like, I don't know how I'm gonna take care of this.
Yeah,
I've
point.
never
Good
I've
point.
never once had that thought. How can we afford this? What are we gonna do to pay this bill? Never once. And you know, granted, I grew up in a very blessed situation, and so did Brianna. But you know, there's plenty of people who take what's been invested into them, and they can make it disappear and then go into the negative, in the red, real quick. But everything comes down to stewardship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I took what my parents built. And Brianna took what her parents built, and we've been able to build on that. Their ceiling is now our floor. We didn't tear down the whole structure and go back to the foundation, or even dig up the foundation, create our own chaos to repurpose it. But no, like, we built on that, and now we can build and continue to build generational wealth that will bless my children, my grandchildren, because if I can give them a better life than what I had, than what my parents had, that's always the goal, is that we can give our children better lives in every way that we can possibly give them better lives than what we had.
Yeah, because I'll even dare to say that the what happens, I think, is I work my butt off at my job. I get my paycheck. Now I'm free to do whatever I want with this paycheck, because the hard work was done in that 9 to 5 or whatever, that 40-hour work week, whatever it is. So now this is mine I deserve this.
I deserve.
You know what I mean? I deserve this. And the work doesn't stop there. The work doesn't stop once you punch out at the end of the day. Once you go home, the work doesn't stop, because like you said, you're still a responsibility to steward this paycheck that you get is the outcome of the hard work that you put in at work. Well, the life that you lead with that money, the choices that you made, is due to the hard work that you make, or the hard work that you put in for the finances that you're blessed with. And I think that's the missing key to a lot of this, is those living below those means, and budgeting and having to sacrifice to be able to have more in your savings in the long road. That's the part that's missing from this.
Yeah, I mean, I think budgeting is stewardship on paper. It's a plan. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, this is like everything else, and I don't think people look at their regular just household income or finances as business, but anything where you have input and output, money's coming in, money's going out, it is business, because we're dealing with money, and we're dealing with input and output. And, you know, you think about the typical mantra, or the typical, you know, cry of people is, if I only made more, if I only made more.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I would say 90+% of the time is not the issue. Maybe 99% of the time is not the issue.
Definitely.
It is how you stored what you have, and making sure that output does not exceed input. And that we live in a society where that is so difficult. And I'll be honest, like, so I grew up single mom, and she wasn't intentional about how to teach me you know, finances, which I wish she kind of was, but I could at least see, even as a kid, the example. You know, single mom, no college degree, and we went from apartment to house to, you know, I mean, she was able, and it was just principles of not spending more than you make, you know, and I had to catch the brunt of that. You know, I want Jordans. Sorry. You know what I mean? Don't got it. You know what I mean? I want McDonald's. Sorry, that's that once every so often treat. And so I think our society as a whole has pushed so far to the other side, and we're not fiscally responsible. And all these companies, credit card companies and stores and all that, they have main people in high staff, like high administration. They definitely have statisticians there. And they also have psychologists and people who understand human behavior.
No doubt.
And
no
they
doubt.
use that, and they leverage that to their advantage, because they know, and as we've talked about before, what do humans do? We typically go to the lowest common denominator. So when my wife and I got married, we both came in with very little. She came in with nothing because same thing, gave her paycheck to her parents till the day we got married. So she doesn't have savings. I came out of college with some college loan debt. I didn't have savings. So here now you both come together, you're married, you combine your finances. It's like, oh, we got some money now, you know, but without the wisdom of how to store it. And so we've never been, you know, like crazy, but that phrase, same as cash, you know, it's demonic, man. Same as cash.
Yeah.
Same as come in and get this at your house today for nothing. Same as cash. You won't be charged interest payments for 1 year. So that gives you that little false security. You get the furniture, you get what you want, and then that year comes around, it's like, oh crap.
The year goes by real quick.
Year goes by quick.
Your transmission blows, and then your water heater lets go, and there's a million other expenses, and that couch payment really isn't the top priority.
Now you've paid like, you know,
paid triple. You could buy
double,
three
or
couches.
whatever.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for us, it was Dave Ramsey too, because neither one of us were taught, and I think that is the biggest issue. I don't understand why parents are not more intentional about teaching their kids, and maybe just because they don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't teach what you don't know. But
ill-equipped.
why there's less intention? Why there's not a more intentionality? Why schools? I don't understand why schools
the
don't have
biggest one.
financial, fiscal responsibility classes and budgeting and all these things, because it is the most critical skill that you'll come out of school with.
That's right.
And you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, I know people that make 3, 4, 5 times what I do and what my family does that live paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, that drowning in debt.
Drowning in debt.
Yep. When I was a teacher, I pulled the kids and asked them, because we got to kind of create and design courses and ask the principals if we could teach courses. And so I asked the kids, like, what is it that you want to learn? And a lot of them were just like, how to live, like literally how to live. How do I live? How do I manage money? How do I budget? And so I created a life skills course, and we went through all that, and I showed them cost of living. I showed them how much it takes to raise a child, how much it takes to do all these different things. So I created this life skills course and took them through, taught them how to budget. I taught them Dave Ramsey. Yeah, it was a biblical model, but it was budgeting. And so I just taught them how to budget. I use the Every Dollar app, so plug for the Every Dollar app. That's what I use to budget every single month. And I mean, it's pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward, and really can't complain about the interface. They've made a lot of edits and a lot of changes to it. But ultimately, I think a lot of it comes down to managing your finances. You know, Brianna and I have sat with, I mean, if not close to 10 couples and individuals, and literally have combed through their finances, like open book, combed through their finances and gone line item by line item. Before that meeting, I say, I want you to track everything for the next month. We'll meet in a month. And so they track everything for the month. And there was this couple that I met. I told them, I want you to track everything. When we sat down, there was a couple that was going to get married. They weren't married yet. And they said, hey, we want to learn about budgeting. So I said, track it for a month. We'll meet in a month. We met with them. We went through. They each individually were spending over $300 on just coffee per month.
Crazy.
So collectively,
Jacob,
collectively spending $600 a month on coffee, you know? And so it's like, you know, they didn't say this, but it's like, oh, you know, we cry poor, we cry I can't afford this and I can't. But the same people who are crying that they don't make enough, minimum wage isn't high enough, all this crap, they are constantly with the Starbucks in hand that is 2 hours worth of work for them to pay for. So, you know, spare me. I'm sorry that my pity and my compassion is so low. Like, let's sit and let's do your finances. Like, self-discipline's out the window, so nobody can even control themselves anymore. So victim culture says, let's just blame and point the finger at everybody else instead of realizing that you're the main issue. So number one, acknowledge your issues. Like, most of the time when it comes to finances, you're the problem. Not the government, not the state, not the federal. Like, it's you are the problem.
Say it with me.
So
I am the problem.
It's like one of those mixtapes that you listen to.
Yeah.
So, you know, start there. Manage your finances. Track it. See how much you're spending. See how much you're making. You know, if you're making $1,000, you're spending $600 on coffee. Well, guess what? Like, doesn't leave you for much money for anything
I hope
else.
you
on
ain't trying to
top of
pay
that.
rent.
Touche, right? You know, it's like, oh, housing prices are so low, so high, rent is so high, mortgages are so high, and those things are true.
Yes.
But manage your money.
Both things.
Steward your money.
Both things can be true. You can be bad at stewarding your money, and everything can be
Absolutely. No one's negating the fact that the cost of living has increased astronomically.
Yes.
I mean, government spending, whatever it is, the state of the economy, whatever it is, we're living in a world that the cost of living is outrageously high, you know, but nonetheless, you are not, like, you're in only control of what you can do. What's in your control is how you budget, how you save, how you manage your finances, how you say, you know what, I just can't go for Chick-fil-A today. You know, like,
sorry, boys, can't go get wings tonight.
You know, yeah, if it's
unless you're buying
or nugs
or nugs.
Nugs not drugs, dude.
Nugs not drugs.
So you know, a lot of it comes down to tracking your finances. I mean, track it, then create a plan. Remember, failing to plan is planning to fail. One of my favorite quotes. So without a plan, you will never execute.
Yeah.
You'll never save. You'll never make the strides you want. And then you'll just sit and you'll blame everybody else, you know, that you're not making enough money and that this and that and the other thing. A lot of the people who aren't making enough money also aren't working enough.
Right.
The same people who are working 20 hours and complaining, oh, I gotta work. Like, suck it up, buttercup. Get to work. Stop being lazy. Put on your big boy pants. Like, whatever. Get to work. Like, these...
We've done so many episodes. We need to suck it up, buttercup. Sure.
Suck it up,
This
dude.
is almost every episode. Put on your big boy pants. Suck it up, buttercup.
And that's what it comes down to, is stop blaming everybody else for what is in your control.
Because the cost of living can be through the roof. It is. That does not negate the fact that you are bad with money.
Absolutely.
Because now you're just making it worse. If everything costs more and you're bad with money, now you're really digging yourself in a hole.
And I think what happens too is that I think people get so intimidated that it's almost like they just would rather not even deal with it and not even like they don't even want to look at their finances. They don't want to look at their bank ledger. You know, for us, like, we got into Dave Ramsey because my wife
This
and
will become a big plug for Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
So shout out Dave.
Shout out, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. Make sure you like, review, and subscribe, Dave.
So my daughter got sick as a toddler, you know, as a 1-year-old with type 1 diabetes. My wife had to quit her job cold turkey. So our income was cut in half overnight.
Wow.
And it was right around the time, it was great timing that Daniel's dad, Pastor Mario, shout out, friend of the pod, was going to lead the first ever Dave Ramsey Financial Peace Class course at our church. So we were like in, you know what I mean? And it's amazing that, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but the steps that you can take to become financially free, get out of consumer debt. We had some consumer debt, but we just definitely were not stewarding well, you know? And the steps that you can take, they're not, you know, it's not that life-altering, but you do need to alter your life. And one of Dave Ramsey's sayings is, live like no one else so you can live like no one else. In other words, like, you need to make the sacrifices necessary that most people aren't willing to make to become financially free and get to the place where you can actually start now building wealth. Absolutely. And so live like no one else so that you can live like no one else. And so the steps are really just all good, fiscally sound principles that our grandparents used to be able to practice without needing Dave Ramsey, but as a culture, we've gotten so out of control, and we've just forgotten the simple principles and steps of, you know, as Daniel's already said, you know, stewarding well, budgeting, not spending, you know, beyond your means and more than you make. And you can, because we went from, you know, some consumer debt and not the greatest financial principles to sound financial principles. And being able to get to the place now we can actually save. Now we can actually build for the future. Now we can invest. Now, you know, what can we do with this now? And then, of course, giving, a huge part of it. Because if you're always crying poor, you're not giving. And that's part of our stewardship as believers.
That's where I wanted to flip it to.
For sure.
The other side of this is, what is our requirement for giving? In the Bible, we're called to give. We're called to be charitable. We're called to give to the needy, all those things. Well, if you're not being fiscally responsible, where does giving fit in? And even if you are being fiscally responsible, where does giving fit in?
Well, in a practical sense, when I've sat down to budget with anybody, and Dave Ramsey says the same thing, it's like right off the top, the first thing you do when you create a budget is you give. You create a spot in your budget to give. And so, you've heard the 10% rule in terms of a tithe and in terms of a church. Whether you give above and beyond to different charities, nonprofits, whether you give to different things. I mean, you find people that you give to, you buy for. You're just a generous person. In our budget, we have our regular giving. Then we also have a category called blessing, and we just kind of keep putting money at that every month, and we build and we build it and we build it, and then we'll just bless people. We'll just go out of our way to just do something nice or bless somebody, or it's just giving needs to be right off the top. And so I don't think there's a necessary requirement again for the percentage or what you need to be doing, but giving needs to be the priority, because
Absolutely.
you need to realize your money, your money can be your kingdom, and you're not building your kingdom here on earth. You're called to build God's kingdom here on earth. And so he gives, he supplies. That does not negate the necessity of hard work and of going after it and being a go-getter and of being a good steward. But I have noticed, this is in my own experience, and I'm not calling this you can misconstrue this for prosperity gospel, whatever you want it. In my experience, the people who I have sat down with to do their budget, when they prioritized giving right off the top and they were consistent, their heart was in a giving posture, when they started to steward their money well. So giving and stewarding, when they started doing those two things, God gave the increase in ways that they could not even imagine.
100%.
And I've seen that in my own life, and I've seen that in the lives of, I would say, if not 95 to 99% of the people I've sat down to comb their budgets, when they prioritize giving and stewarding, the increase came.
That's a good point that I wanted to touch on too, because I've noticed that in my own life. When I am faithfully giving, the need that I have is always financially met. And even though I'm giving, I'm always where I need to be financially, or more, and then some, and then some. And that's not by coincidence.
No.
I know that's not by coincidence. And I just find that we've talked about stewarding this whole time. God gives you however you're getting your financial income, that is 100% a gift given to you by God.
That's
God
right.
is putting you in that job that's giving you that opportunity to create that money. You work, you if you steward that well, you make good money. You take that money and you steward that well, you give, and he continues to bless.
Yeah.
And it's I know you brought up the prosperity gospel, and I know we kind of have some mixed feelings, I guess, or opinions on how that is being utilized and used, but
it's stupid, and the people who peddle it are in danger of judgment.
There you go.
And I'm not joking.
Yeah, there you go. So, and we'll hit on that in a minute, but I will say with 100%, I didn't even know that you were gonna bring it up, but it was on my heart. Like, I know that every time that I've given, every time I've faithfully given, that my need has always been met by
Absolutely.
God. I think you said it in a service not that long ago, Ken, but we talked about when you feel like you don't have enough time, right? But then you start devoting time to God and spending time with God, all of a sudden you have more time.
How more than you thought.
You know what I mean? I think it's the same thing with money.
Absolutely.
When you feel like you don't have enough money and you start giving your money to God's purpose, you find out you have more than you
For
thought.
sure. I mean, a lot of that it's spiritual and it's practical, because anytime you prioritize things, with God as the thing that you're looking towards, everything else will fall into a proper place. So when giving, and for me, I've always given. The second after accepting Christ, the second I knew what giving was, I just did it. Even when I made $50 a week working at the little corner store in UMass Dartmouth where I was a student. it's just a principle that I was taught. And even before I was really decent, with stewarding my money, that was always at the top of the list. Because why? Well, where your treasure is, your heart is. And so how can I say I love God? How can I say that I follow Christ, but when it comes to my money doesn't follow? And so it's like my time, it's like my passions, it's like everything else. If God is first, everything else will have its proper place. And so I think giving just helps people to not spend beyond their means, because if giving is the top line item in my budget, as Daniel was just talking about, then something might have to go. And probably the thing that's going to have to go is the worst thing on there and the thing I need the least, my $8 coffee or something like that. So it might actually, in a practical way, cause me to make some tough decisions about my spending. Prioritize, right? Now, when it comes to, I think the church as a whole does a terrible job when teaching or talking about finances with believers, because I think there's some conception to go swing to the other extreme that, if I just give, everything will be fine. And I'll be honest, I kind of had that mentality as a younger Christian, because I'm just, if I give, then God will just will set everything in order for me, right? And he'll pour out. No, I have to also study to show myself approved, and I have to learn financial principles and seek after good information and good mentors and good teachers in addition to my giving. And I think the church for many years has just had the mentality, just give. Give, it'll be added. Give, it'll be added. And it'll be added to you, and who cares what you do with it. When it comes to prosperity gospel, if Jesus was here today, I think about when he went to the temple shortly before he was crucified, and he flipped over tables and he took a cord of whips and he whipped them dudes out of the temple, saying, "You've turned the house of my father's house into a den of thieves." And when you have prosperity gospel preachers that are saying, just so,
look at what you can have,
and these guys have private jets and these 10,000 square foot houses and just $5,000 suits and all this stuff. Just if you sow this seed today, God is going to, and it doesn't work like that.
He's going to bring it back to you. He's going to multiply it.
So. Honestly, those guys are in danger of judgment, and I have no issue saying that because they're fleecing people, they're deceiving people.
Absolutely.
Giving is really a reflection of the condition of my heart. Yeah. And if I'm giving just because I'm expecting, it's almost like the lottery, if I throw this down, maybe I'll get this back. No. I should give because my heart is in the kingdom of God, and I'm invested in what God is doing, and I want to see people come to Christ, and I want to see people healed and saved. I want to see divorce, be reconciled and marriages restored. So, we could go probably on and on and on about that, but we have to balance the spiritual and the practical. Yeah. Yes, giving, top of our budget line, but at the same time, we have to also get good practical instruction for how to store finances.
Giving and stewardship hand in hand.
For sure.
Hand in hand.
That prosperity gospel thing is because I think once, like you said, heart posture, both of you guys have said this. If you're giving an expectation to receive, you're missing the whole point.
Absolutely.
You're missing the whole point. The whole point.
At the same time, though, like Daniel said, when you do give, and I think you had said it too, this is a principle that even the unbelievers understand, sowing and reaping, because the most successful people in the world, they understand this principle, and it's part of the reason they're so successful. Your Bill Gates and these people, they're the most philanthropic people in the world. They give millions and even billions of dollars to charity. It's part of the reason that they're so successful, because there's a principle that you can see in a garden, as Daniel preached last Sunday, an agriculture principle that is a law, that when you sow, when you invest wisely, you will reap.
Yeah,
good point.
You'll reap greater than what you sowed. Yeah. And so there is a principle there where you should not give to get, but at the same time, God's a man of his word. And when you sow, you will reap.
Yeah.
And when you're not sowing, you're reaping famine.
Absolutely.
Because you're not harvesting anything.
How can you reap when you didn't sow?
Exactly. And so the only thing you're reaping is famine, and so you're just losing the storehouses of what you have, and eventually you just run out and you starve to death, which is what we see so many people walking through life like zombies because they just don't even know which way to turn, what to do. And I think people get so overwhelmed with it because it is. I mean, it's your whole life. I mean, you can really lose everything when you're talking about finances. And I think people get so overwhelmed they don't even know where to turn, don't even know where to start. And so rather than doing it, they just keep plugging away, doing what they've been doing. They just keep living their life the same way, trying to pretend like it's not happening or that this isn't a reality. But the reality is that they're just making it worse, and they're making it even more overwhelming. And the point, like, this thing's going to collapse. They're going to collapse under the weight of it. And, I think you need to get around in all ways. You need to get around people who are doing it well.
So that's
people who you see are doing it well. Get around them. This is in every area: parenting, managing a home, finances, all this stuff. Get around people who are doing what you want and ask them questions.
Amen.
Be teachable. Sit at their feet. Sit at their feet and learn and learn and learn, because we live in an era where if you want to learn something, you can learn something. I mean, you can learn to do anything.
No excuse.
Through YouTube University, Google you can graduate from all these schools and you can learn anything you possibly want. So even more so from the people in your life that are doing it well, get around them.
So that's going to be my question to you guys as we kind of come into a close here. We have a community, right? We have a church community. We have a Christian community. How can we teach financial literacy to these people that are within our community? And part of it, is people are going to need to step out. Not everybody's comfortable doing so. You know what I mean? But obviously there's a crying out for this, because this is, like I said, the most requested thing that we've had so far for the podcast. So what impact can we have to teach financial literacy to this community?
Well, we do probably not as much as we should, and part of that is probably like personnel to do it. Yeah. But we, every couple of years, probably on average, we will have a financial literacy or financial peace connect group. Last time we did it was like 20 something. I mean, it was like one of our largest. It was the largest sign. Why? Because everybody, there isn't anybody for the most part who doesn't need at least a tune-up when it comes to this stuff. So as a church, I think giving practical financial literacy classes or connect groups is huge, and then also just being open and to talk about it, because it can't be or shouldn't be taboo. That's ridiculous, because just as many parents didn't teach their kids, churches aren't teaching their congregants either. Yeah. And a lot of these people were all in the same boat. We didn't learn enough. We didn't have a mentor or teacher in this area. Right. And it is critical for living. It's critical for success in this life, but also critical again for like just our giving and the whole being a good steward of what God has given us all around. So, and then again, even like in the discipleship thing, get around people. Yeah. You can't say that you want to be wealthy, but you only hang out with broke people. It's not gonna pan out.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Can I also clear up a misconception about giving too, real quick? Is final word for me maybe is that a lot of people will say, again, going to the amount area, it's like, oh, I would give if I made more. No, you wouldn't. Because let's just take the 10%, the tithe, right? If you make $10, 10%'s $1. If you make 1,000, 10%'s 100. If you can't give $1, you ain't giving 100.
Nope.
So giving is a hard issue. Establish it early before while you make your little bit of money. If you're storing things well, it's not going to hurt you. It's going to only bless you. So think about that. If only I made more money. No. If only you were better with money and you made God a priority, you would see things change.
Last piece of advice, last word of impact.
Yeah,
Daniel,
I think your question is like I preach about. You got to die. You got to die to your pride, die to self, and start getting around people and asking questions who know what they're doing, are doing it well. And there's so many resources out there. So get around people who know. I offer myself up as a resource to anybody who's listening. I mean, definitely feel free to reach out. But I think so much of it just comes down to, like we said, stewardship, heart posture, just manage your money. Manage your money. If you don't manage your money will manage you. You'll be a slave to it for the rest of your life. You're never too old. You're never too far in debt to be able to get a grip on this. I mean, my parents were middle-aged when they finally started getting a grip. And my parents now, I mean, they've been debt-free. Their mortgage is paid. They're living incredibly.
Like no one else.
They're living like no one else. They actually went to Dave Ramsey's headquarters, and they did the debt-free scream. I'm debt-free, which is on his radio program. And so they just... I've seen it transform so many people's lives when they just... And I'm not saying Dave Ramsey is like the... End-all, be-all. But, I mean, it's just... It's easy to digest. It's easy to learn. It's easy to understand. Makes it very practical. So it's a great launching point. Go and follow on Instagram or get connected with them in any way that you can. I know sometimes other churches will offer, I know we have a lot of listeners all over the U.S. and the world. So a lot of different churches offer financial peace. It's regularly offered at churches. So call your local churches, trying to figure out if they're teaching this course near you or when they have one coming up, and just get plugged in. Put in the hard work. We've talked about it a million times on this podcast. We'll talk about it a million times more. So much more is in your control than you give yourself credit for. If you're not working hard, you're never going to reap. So
hit up Daniel at Dope in the Taupe.
I was waiting.
You dropped it. That's where you dropped it.
Former episode, where he was called with his Philly hate, he was called Dweeb in the White, but today he's got more of like a taupe colored sweatshirt. So Dope in the Taupe.
Dope in the Taupe. Dude, you gotta change the tag, the handle.
Dope in the Taupe.
Dope in the Taupe, dude. Looking dope in the Taupe.
I need to make social media in order to have Dope in the Taupe first.
You better hurry up because somebody else is gonna snag
I only got Facebook. I mean, see, I said marketplace because that's the only reason I have Facebook.
Because you're fiscally responsible.
And before Daniel says it, I'd just like to say to everybody, love and peace.
Give it to the people. Give it to the people.
Peace and love. Although I did see a lot of comments with hashtags love and peace, and it kind of pissed me off. So honestly, I don't need any of you.
The people know.
I don't need any of you love and peacers.
Bye, Booth. Later. The Not Safe for Sunday podcast was recorded in the loft. You can find us on social media at NSFS Podcast. Audio editing by Spencer Barrowman. Video editing by John Walsh. If you'd like to join us for a Sunday service, you can find us at Conquerors for Christ Church, located at 972 Reed Road in North Dartmouth, Massachusetts.